Joining us now, President of Freedom and Family Action. He was a Bush aide in 2000. The only person in U.S. history ever to run a campaign defeating a majority leader in a primary. His name is John Pudner, and he joins us now. John, hey, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. Great to talk across the lake from you.
There you go. So, wouldn't you love to have been a bug on the wall in the Oval Office? If you could be a bug on that wall at any given moment, you'd have a pretty eventful day, I would think. What happened? Anything? I mean, did they at least? I don't think there was a kumbaya moment or anything, but were they nice?
They really were, and I think the two things were accomplished was Carney did say we're going to step it up on military. The U.S. is basically taking care of their military needs. Not that there haven't been Canadian soldiers, et cetera, but so that was a good one, and I think Trump kept it very nice. Trump found that thing to bond on. We both had big come from behind wins, and even really in a humble way, said, oh, yours might have even been a bigger comeback than mine. So there were those friendly moments. I think the 51st state talk and everything else was really directed at Trudeau because he was so unpopular and coming from a much smaller country, he was trying to be self-righteous with Trump. So I think this is kind of a new beginning with Mark Carney. I think they're going to get along fine.
This is a little new start then. Do you think the world, when they see stuff like this, is the world starting to finally understand Donald Trump is the guy can bloviate, the guy's a New Yorker, the guy talks a certain way, business is done a certain way. You hear this a lot these days is that Glenn Beck just had that big private interview with him. He said, the guy that I saw behind the scenes is not the guy people think he is. Are we starting to see more of that, even the Canadian guy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, he wrote The Art of the Deal. He's a negotiator. He's always going to ask for more than he's really trying to get in the end. That's just classic negotiation. And so, even though he reiterated at the time, that he was serious about it being 51st state. Come on, it's not going to be the 51st state. He's pointing out that, look, we're 10 times as big. We have a huge market. You haven't been paying your fair share. We've got to redo some of these trade deals. And if you want to sell things to this huge, biggest economy in the world just south of you, you're going to have to negotiate and do some things for us too. And I think you just have to realize Trump in the end is always a negotiator.
Yeah. Everything's a deal. Everything is a deal. And he'll always be that guy. You're not going to just change him, Donald Trump, and just you put him in the White House. That doesn't change anything for him. So I don't think they're going to be best friends. But do you think tariffs are going to start easing now for across the border?
I think so. And just to get this, guys, what you're saying is so unfair is that we're trying to work toward having the same terms go each way. I mean, how can that be unfair? If that is a principle, obviously you can make adjustments on certain markets or whatever, but, we're saying we've been ripped off for decades. And as Trump at one point said, at some point, someone had to bring up tariffs. It wasn't that it was going to be popular immediately. And it wasn't even that it wasn't going to be some short-term, problems with the market because they like stability. But at some point, you can't just say the U.S. is going to get ripped off forever because we never want to bring up this thing that would be politically unpopular. I think we've got things moving in the right direction. The country's going to come out with better trade deals, and maybe there won't be much talk of tariffs in 6 months because this will all be settled, but we're going to get there.
It looks like this sounds like this meeting really pretty constructive, you got to say, on a scale of, say, 1 to 100. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's way up there. And again, the talk was directed at Trudeau. Trudeau was the kind of self-righteous lecturing the U.S., and I think Trump was correct in December. Trudeau's numbers in Canada, I mean, think about this if Trump had these numbers, 22% favorable, 74% unfavorable in December. Now, he got a lot more popular by doing one thing, saying he was out. His numbers did improve once he said he was leaving. But for him to sit there with an economy 1/10 the size of the U.S., sort of lecture us, and when he's hated in his own country, I think that's where Trump popped him with the Governor Trudeau. And I think it was very appropriate for him. I don't think you'll see him doing the same thing to Carney.
So what about Carney's next move when he gets back home? Is he going to be viewed favorably? What are his numbers like? in Canada.
Well, they have to be pretty good. I mean, it was a great come-from-behind win. And,
Yeah.
while he's still liberal, it seemed like he didn't have a lot of the bad characteristics of Trudeau. And so, his numbers certainly right now will be pretty good. Now, do the liberals push back and think, oh, you were too friendly with Trump? That's, of course, always if some of the same Trump derangement syndrome is north of the border that we see here, there'll be certain people who'd just be mad that he wasn't just telling Trump off.
Yeah.
But I thought he was firm and friendly, and that's what you want. And I thought William Shatner had a great, obviously Canadian Captain Kirk, and he said, he should have just thrown out there, hey, we want to make the U.S. the 11th province. I think everyone would have laughed at that.
I think so. And I think Trump would have laughed the hardest. I think he would have got the joke. Yeah. From all I could tell anyway, everybody talks about, Donald Trump has a sense of humor, and I think he shows it. We just don't see it. We don't take it that way. A lot of times. John Pudner's with us. We're talking about this meeting in the Oval Office. One thing about these Oval Office meetings you got to say is they are transparent. That hasn't been always the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, when reporters, legacy media hits Trump and says, oh, he this or that in an interview, the response is, well, Biden didn't do any interviews. I mean, you're
right,
criticizing something Trump said in an interview. But as you said, look at the transparency, how accessible he is, how often he comes to reporters and takes it, knowing a lot of them won't be friendly. So there was no access. They talk about a given reporter not getting access to something. No reporters had access to Biden. So the night and day difference, you have to appreciate it. And, he's going to defend his positions, and I think he's done a good job of it.
Yeah, overall pretty positive. They're going to meet again anytime soon. You don't want to turn right around, but I bet maybe, within a few months?
Hey, you don't even have to cross an ocean for that meeting, so I would certainly think so. This is an easy one. It's our biggest border, obviously, and I think you want to come to some terms on this. And I think the U.S. will be better off for it. And it was nice that Trump, kept stressing, hey, we love the Canadians. They've been an ally. Emphasize that too. We just need to straighten out some deals that are very lopsided.
That's cool. Is there any plans for President Trump to go north of the border and reciprocate? Go, make a trip to Canada?
I would not expect that. Certainly could. I don't see the benefit of Trump going to Canada. I'll just put that bluntly. I don't see any political upside to it, but we'll see.
All right. John Pudner, our good friend, been on with us several times. He is the president of
Freedom
and Family.
Action.
I want to make sure I get that right. Freedom and Family Action. What is it you do?
Yeah, so we work conservative turnout. We've done grassroots for years. We really put a focus in Wisconsin last year on turning people out for the presidential, and a lot of kind of faith-based voters who don't vote. They go to church, go to conservative church, and don't vote. So our big push is getting hundreds of thousands of them to the polls in key states.
There he is, John Pudner. We appreciate your insights, and we'll chat again soon.